Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how lasers reveal ancient settlements hidden deep in the Amazon rainforest and other things mainstream archaeologists don't want to tell you.
So, what's happened is in the Upano Valley of Ecuador, up in the Andes, uh, the one of the earliest examples of an agricultural civilization in South America's rainforest has been discovered. The civilization is estimated to be approximately 2,500 years old, and it has been discovered using a form of uh, light
Laser.
detection known as LIDAR, which is effectively scanning the ground with a series of light at specific wavelengths and seeing what bounces back. Um,
A lot of times, this can reveal subterranean or underground structures, as seen in the image below, where you can see foundations of structures, you can see foundations of roadways, you can see pathways. LiDAR is something that used to be very cost prohibitive and very expensive, but now is actually fairly cheap to do and to have done. And a lot of times, people hire out aircraft to scan specific regions in search of lost things or subterranean anything. Anomalies is usually what they look for. I've been lucky enough to be a part of a few projects where we scanned LiDAR imagery for any anomalies. You tag it and then you go and ground truth it. But LiDAR is something that's becoming very prominent, and it's cool because you see things like this that are totally awesome, and you get to have an appreciation because certain things like this may have only been discovered under happenstance or maybe really extensive research where LiDAR steps up and makes it a little bit easier.
yeah. The site itself here with LiDAR that has been discovered is approximately 600 square kilometers or 230 square miles.
Oh, that was a big study then. That must have been an
Yeah.
expensive one.
Oh, yeah. It is estimated to have been occupied from about 500 BC to at most 600 CE. According to what the researchers there uh, have uh, have estimated.
Oh, and the other thing we didn't even mention is the fact that it's under really dense Amazon foliage and tree cover. The fact that the LiDAR poses an advantage because it's one of the few things that can penetrate the thick canopy. It's one of the few
Yeah,
things that allows you to see past the covers.
yeah, yeah. And so one of the interesting things with this, you can see on the like initial image with some of the like zipper lines that are going around, is the LiDAR scan revealed over 6,000 rectangular platforms, all of which are connected to one another via a number of crisscrossing roads, which continue to intersect and interact with each other at distance from these structures, indicating that the community wasn't simply interwoven into itself, but was meant to be connected to other far more distant communities outside the 600-kilometer range of this LiDAR study.
It's honestly incredible. And this was only used to assess about half of the site, which the site was constructed by pre Hispanic Quilamope and Upano cultures to agrarian societies, so they were predominantly farmers that occupied the valley. So they had built big cities, they had built complex social structures, and then after a brief period of abandonment, the Huapala culture came in as well, which is really cool to see a stratified site like this, a multi-component cultural site like that.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is the LiDAR shows just how elaborate the site is and how a lot of the structures, how big they are and how extensive this network is.
Yeah, and to give you a bit of a sense for how impactful this is in terms of archaeology, the complexity of the site and how interconnected it appears to be with other sites has been described by the archaeologists working on this as being the equivalent of Mayan urban centers. The Mayans in Central America are notorious for building massive central cities with multiple rings of connected ancillary sites. It is a very complex system. So for it to be on the same level as them is pretty huge in terms of the level of societal organization that it seems the Upano, Kilamope, and Hula Pula were working with here. Massive organization.
And this discovery is yet another example of how little we actually know about Amazonia and how the indigenous cultures both lived and thrived in the Amazon valleys. And this is just another example of how little we actually know, showing these complex structures. And a lot of times, cities like this, especially agrarian ones, there's a lot of social stratigraphy that takes place. Like when cultures become quote unquote civilizations, or, you know, breadbaskets, so to speak, when cultures switch from hunter gatherer to agrarian, you start seeing vast shifts in social networks and social constructions and the different stratigraphy and the different cultures and traditions that stem from it. That's the thing that I think piques a lot of archaeologists' interest, and to have this previously undiscovered one, that I think is pretty darn cool. I don't know. How do you feel about it, Colin?
It is very fun. It's very fun, especially with just how much is here, just in this one lidar scan. Usually, with a lot of lidar scans, you encounter a smattering of sites, usually minor things. You don't always get these big sites, and that really is something to see a major site like this effectively pulled out of nowhere. Like the archaeologists knew there was something here. Uh, they knew that the Upanu Valley was inhabited by several cultures, but to see that in this one scan, that it was effectively an empire level of organization.
Like it was an entire city with 6,000. And plus, it's also 2,500 years old, one of the earliest and largest examples of agriculture in South America, especially in the rainforest.
Yeah, yeah. And agriculture does start later in the rainforest by virtue of the fact that in order to have agriculture, you have to clear a freaking rainforest.
And I don't know about you, I've seen some of the things in the Amazon rainforest, and I have zero, zero will or want to go and deal with any of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You stick to the coastline, kids.
Yes. And on that splashing bombshell, I think that's a good point for us to wrap up on this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for some more episodes in the future. Peace.